welcome back to my channel. Happy New Year! We are on the 11th of January now, aren't we? And yeah, I'm sorry I've been absent for the last week. I've been really busy at work and not getting home while late in the evenings and just not had time, and it's too dark in an evening to film, isn't it? So anyway, I'm back and hope you're all really well. And today I know that I was going to do my review of the Snitch and Sylvia coat again, but I haven't actually filmed that yet, so I will get around to doing that and I'll put that up probably next week or later on in the week or whatever. But today I am all about the comfies, and we all are, aren't we, this time of year? And what I wanted to do was do a little bit of a pattern review of the Seamwork Skipper sweatshirt and my hack of it as well. So yeah, I think I may have found the holy grail of sweatshirts, and there's loads of sweatshirt patterns out there, aren't they? And I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but you know, when you're at home and you just want to be comfy and warm and toasty and cozy, especially this time of year in the UK, sweatshirts are one of my go-to things really. And I always found with ready-to-wear sweatshirts that the arms were too short, probably coming to sort of bracelet length on me, which I want to be cozy and warm. And yeah, so making your own is a great thing, isn't it? But there, as I say, there are loads of sweatshirt patterns out there. I think one of the most popular ones is obviously the grain line linden. I had to think what it was then. The grain line linden, which I have made that pattern before a few times, and I have a bit of an issue with it. And the only issue, I love the pattern in itself, it's just that the issue I have with it is the neckline. I find it too wide. I know this is a problem that a few people have had with that sweatshirt, and it's fine if you want to wear something underneath, I guess, but for me, it's not the type of garment that I would want to wear something underneath that was then on show through the shoulders, if that makes sense. And I find the grain linden does that. So you know, if you wear a t-shirt underneath, you can see the t-shirt under the neckline, and if you don't, you can see your bra straps. And yeah, I suppose I could hack it, I guess, but it's not a cheap pattern, as most of the indies aren't, and I just think, you know, why am I going to bother, let's face it. So anyway, yeah, so I've not made that for a few years. I think I did make a couple of them, but I sort of abandoned that pattern. There's been a few, there's the Seamwork Astoria that was very popular as well. That's obviously very cropped and quite fitted, and 3/4 length sleeves, but again, you could hack that. Haven't had an issue with that pattern as such, but again, for this time of year, I want something big, slouchy, warm, comfy, and the Seamwork Astoria just doesn't do that for me. I think it's, you know, it's a lovely pattern and very flattering, but it's something that I would want to wear on sort of more warm days where you want covering up a little bit more, but it's not quite t-shirt weather, if that makes sense. Anyway, I've also made a couple of sweatshirts from the Big Four, as you've probably seen before if you've watched my channel for a while. There was one that hacked into it from the following the Stitch Sisters vlog, one of their vlogs that they did last year, where they did this amazing hack which you could put stripes in like a V shape, which was great, and I did that and I really love that jumper, but I don't wear it that much, to be honest. That was hacked from a McCall's jumper pattern, and there is another one that I've done as well. There's also a couple of Ellie and Mac ones that I've done, but anyway, a lot of these issues that I have with all of these sweatshirt patterns, I'll be perfectly honest with you, is the neckband. Not quite on the grain line linden issue as wide neckline, but necklines just sitting flat to your body. And I find this with a lot of jersey patterns where it's got a neckband, and to be honest, most jersey patterns, unless they're like a cowl neck, I prefer with a neckband rather than turned under and sewn, because I just think it looks more professional and gives a better result. But a lot of the neckbands I have used on a lot of patterns, I find they just don't sit flat to your body and they always stand up. And the general rule is that to get them to do that, you have to make the neckband, I think it's something like 25% or up to 25% smaller than the circumference of the hole that it's being attached to on the neckline, and then you have to obviously manipulate it so it fits, and that sort of cinches it in. But one of the issues I have with that is that sometimes I end up where it looks a bit gathered and it doesn't sit right, and anyway, so yeah, maybe it's just me and I'm just not very good at it, which is probably the case. However, this pattern I think is pretty damn good. I have been a member of Seamwork for probably about ever since they started actually, and they bring out all these patterns every month. I think it costs $8 a month, doesn't it? And most of them I haven't made, I will admit, but my membership has carried on running, so I've got a lot banked. And you know, I don't tend to, I passed this pattern by. It's a very recent pattern actually, it was only out a couple of months ago. I will put some pictures in here so you can have a look at the pattern in more detail, but you know, it's a very straightforward sweatshirt, let's face it, with nothing exciting about it. So, you know, it was one of those things that I thought, I've got loads of sweatshirt patterns, I really don't need any more. However, when the I Am pattern zebra top came out, I think it was last year or maybe the end of the year before, I wasn't really taken with that pattern, mainly because I thought it's another sweatshirt pattern, what's the difference about it apart from a big voluminous sleeve? And you know, again, an indie pattern, quite expensive. I thought, I'm sure I could hack that from one of my other sweatshirt patterns if I really wanted to. But it just sort of sat on the back burner, and then over the last few months I've really sort of like enjoyed the bigger sleeve trend. As you remember, I made the Eve dress a few months ago when I went down to the sewing retreat, and I hacked the sleeve on that. Well, I didn't hack the sleeve at all actually. I pinched the sleeve from, I think it's Simplicity 8019. I will put it across the bottom if that's correct or not. And yeah, I just swapped the sleeve out for a balloon sleeve basically, and I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to have a go at hacking. I thought, well, you know, can I hack one of my sweatshirt patterns into the I Am zebra top, or very similar? Yeah, so that's what I've done. And the I Am zebra top, apart from the voluminous sleeves, it does have a different neck finishing. I think it has like a button neck band here that attaches, and the neckline is quite narrow, but I wasn't going to go that far. It was mainly the sleeve that I was interested in. So what I did first was obviously printed off the pattern, which consists of, it's, you know, straightforward, a back, a front, a neck band, a sleeve bands and a bottom band, and that's it. Oh, and a sleeve obviously. And then I scoured the internet for how to hack a normal sleeve into a balloon sleeve, and I found the by Hand London tutorial on how to do that. It's really good. I will put a link to it down in the description box below, but that's basically the tutorial I used to create this jumper. So I will, as I'm talking to you, I will put some pictures in of the finished jumper, but I will stand up and show you how it looks. So here we go. Here is my jumper with so this is essentially the Seamwork Skipper sweatshirt, and I have hacked the sleeve to create a very similar look to the I Am Zebra sweatshirt, and I think it's come out pretty well. If I just stand back a little bit more, hopefully you can see it. So yeah, I really love it actually. I think it's great, and yeah, you can see how this neckband sits really flush at my neck, with no gaping whatsoever, no puckering as it's been fitted in, and it's pretty damn perfect. I love it. So the sleeves, if I just bring them in closer, you can see them, how I've created this sort of voluminous sleeve with a very deep cuff as well, which is exactly like the I Am Zebra top as well. Right, so yeah, the thing about this top for me is that it's the neckband that really did it, and what I found is that with a lot of these patterns the neckband just sits too proud of the jumper and it sticks up no matter how much you try and gather it in. But as you can see, this neckband fits really well across my neck and just hugs my neck nicely. There's no sticking up at all, you can see, either front or back, and yeah, I really love it. And what's different about this is the neckband piece is not a rectangle. Let me go get it and I'll show you. Right, so the neckband for this pattern is actually in two pieces, and it's two different sizes. So these are the neckband pieces here. Hopefully you can see that. So you've got the back neckband, which is this one here, which is cut on the fold, and then the front neckband, which is the bottom one here, which you can see is slightly smaller. And The key difference with this neckband to other neckbands that I've used before is that. So you can see how you have that V shape. And what that does is when you've cut out your fabric and you basically stitch your two ends together and then you fold that way, so it actually inserts like that, if that makes sense, which means that it's angled into your neck and it works absolutely brilliantly. Now, seamwork patterns, as I say, I've not had a lot of success with the ones that I have made in the past, and well, it depends what they are. I think the jersey patterns tend to work really well, but some of the woven patterns that I've made before haven't always been successful. Some of that's probably me not fitting them correctly, but I do know that there's been a lot of debate out there in the sewing community and on the internet when you look and Google some of the patterns that people say aren't drafted very well or whatever. But yeah, I've tended to have more success with the jersey patterns, and this one is no exception. So I'm going to now insert some footage that I've taken of how I hacked the sleeve to be able to create this fantastic voluminous sleeve that looks like the I Am Zebra top. So I'll insert that now. I don't know how much I've taken, but I'll insert it here so that you can have a look if you want to have a go at this yourself. So I'm going to show you how to create a bishop sleeve from a normal sleeve pattern. So this is the pattern piece for the sleeve for the Skipper sweatshirt that I am using to hack from Seamwork. And what I've done first is I have drawn in with a dotted line where the stitching line is going to be, because obviously we have a 5/8 of an inch seam allowance at the sleeve head there and at the sides, but we don't need to worry about that for now. I'm using a really good tutorial, which is the By Hand London bishop sleeve tutorial, and I've not tried it before, but we'll have a go, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be straightforward. So the next thing we need to do is we need to divide up the width of the sleeve into 3 separate parts. So I'm going to just measure along the cuff here, divide that up into 3, and then draw straight lines right up to the stitching line. So I'll do that and then I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so I told you wrong, it's actually 3 lines you draw, so you're separating it into 4 equal pieces. So I have measured this, I've halved it and then halved it again just to create my 4 equal pieces, and I've drawn line perpendicular to the grain line all the way up to the stitching line. So what we're going to do next is we're going to cut into each line up to the stitching line that will allow us to pivot and open the sleeve. Yeah, so we'll do that next. Right. So I have slashed into the sleeve, but what you'll notice obviously is it's bunching up at the top. The reason we don't cut all the way to the actual sleeve head is because we need to now cut in from the sleeve head almost to the cut line there, so that it will open out and make this lie flat, so that we can actually spread these legs open and create some volume. So I'm going to just cut into those, but not all the way through, so that it still allows me to pivot, and then we'll show you what that looks like. Right, so I hope you can just see there where I've cut into the top of the sleeve head right up to the stitch, well, almost up to the stitching line where I cut the pivot lines earlier, and same again there. And then all I have done is I have put some paper underneath, splayed the bottom legs, and yeah, sellotaped it all back together. So I have trued off the curve of the bottom of the sleeve, and yeah, I just did this by eye, but you can, according to the tutorial, you can widen as much as you want really. Obviously the wider you splay the legs, you will get a more voluminous sleeve, so that's the theory anyway. But what this does is it means that the sleeve head here is not altered. The diameter of this is still exactly the same, so it will still fit in the original sleeve. So if I just get the original sleeve now so that I can compare them both and show you how this looks. So hopefully you can see those side by side now. We've got the original sleeve there, and then the traced off sleeve that I have manipulated to become a balloon sleeve. And yeah, I'm really happy with the volume on this one. We'll get it sewn up and see what it looks like. So as you can see, you can probably use that idea for any sleeve pattern at all. It would work just the same on a woven pattern. The key thing is that you keep the sleeve head the same, that same diameter, circumference, isn't it? Yeah, I think. Yeah, you keep that exactly the same so that it still fits into the shoulder seam of the garment that you're making, but obviously you're just adding the bulk of the volume to the rest of the sleeve. So, you know, it's a really good tutorial. I would highly recommend it. The other thing you will notice that's different from the original sleeve pattern on the Seamwork Skipper as well is the sleeve band at the bottom. So on the I Am Zebra top, you will notice that it's got very deep cuffs, and I wanted to replicate that on this pattern as well. So I've done that, as you can see there. What I did, if you remember, I've talked about how I have very long arms, and normally I have to lengthen any sleeve to allow for that. But I didn't actually do that with this pattern. I left the sleeve length exactly as it comes in the pattern, so I added nothing to it at all. Where I added it was in the cuff, so that I would get that deep cuff, and I thought that would probably give me enough length in the finished sleeve, which I'm really pleased to say it has. So the sleeve cuff pattern is this one here, and what you are supposed to do is just cut out 2 of those, and they're obviously folded over like that. No, they're stitched together that way and then folded over. What I did was I decided to just put on a fold line here to double up the width of the sleeve, and then carried on following the instructions, and that worked really, really well. It's meant that I've ended up with a double cuff, so to speak, and the length of the sleeves on me now are just covering my wrist over onto my hand, which is the perfect length for me. It's exactly what I needed. So all in all, I would say I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. Now, the only other thing I don't like about it, I would say, is that I just find it just probably a little bit too long. I did deepen the hem slightly as well, just by adding on an extra inch, because I wanted the hemband to be a little bit deeper. I do like how that's come out. If I can just show you that there. I like the depth of the hemband, but I find that obviously this sweatshirt is landing on my widest part, which is not very flattering, especially at the moment when I'm carrying some extra weight. So I think if when I make this again, which I probably will, I will just shorten the bodice a little bit so it sits on my high hip rather than my widest part, and I think that will just be a bit more flattering. This fabric, if I just come in and show you a little bit more detail, is a gorgeous light grey marl effect with dark grey bits on it, as you can see. That's not very technical, is it? But you know what I mean. This is a fabric that I got from Waltons. It's a French terry. I think it's a French terry. If you just have a look, that's the reverse side of it, so I'm pretty sure that's a French terry. It's really snuggly, really warm, and yeah, I got this from Waltons at the beginning of the year. Just after New Year, I had a little trip. I know I said I wasn't going to buy any fabric, but you know, I only went for some black fabric to make some more trousers with, and I sort of bought a few more bits, but I'm going to do a haul about that, and I will show you that in another video anyway. But yeah, this was one of the fabrics I got from there. I think it was £4 a metre. We've got loads of it at the minute. They have it in cream as well. But I fancied the light grey, and yeah, just to make this jumper really. So yeah, I'm really happy with it. I really love it. I would say it's a fab pattern, and the biggest thing for me, even you know, removing the sleeve hack and everything that I've done with it, the biggest thing for me is the neckband, and for me this is the perfect neckband, absolutely perfect, and I am going to use this for every other neckband that I do on any other jersey top, because I just think the little notched detail on getting that neckband to be angled, oops, throwing it on the floor now, getting it angled so that it actually sits flush on your neck is ingenious, and yeah, it works perfectly, and I just think it gives a much more professional finish. So that's it really. I've probably waffled on for long enough. I think this video's been about 16 minutes, 17 minutes already. Yeah, I am today going to be doing some more sewing. The fabric that I mentioned that I originally went to Waltons for at the beginning of the year, I'm going to make another pair of the peppermint patterns in the fold, yeah, wide leg pants, for work really. So yeah, not very interesting, but that's my plan today. And yeah, I will be filming the haul that I did from Waltons as well. I need to go back there soon because I've been looking for some red coating fabric. I've had this in my head since I was at the sewing retreat because Sian showed on one of the nights this gorgeous red coat that she made, and when I saw it I thought, I want to make a red coat. I want to make a red coat. So I've been looking for some inexpensive red coating fabric, and I noticed when I was in Waltons at the beginning of the year that they had some, and I didn't buy it, and I'm sort of regretting that, but I'm hoping they'll have it if I go back. Yeah, so I am going to be going back soon, and yeah, I might do a little filming while I'm there. Oh, I think a few people mentioned previously on my last Waltons fabric haul that they'd gone to Waltons after my recommendation, and they had sort of mentioned me and everything. So when I went in just after New Year, I did get chatting to them about it, and they said, oh yeah, we've had loads of people in. So that was quite weird, but yeah, it was really nice. I love them. It's such a good shop. I love it. Yeah, so I think that's it. I don't think I've got anything else to tell you at the minute. No, I think that's it. So, right, I hope you're all well. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday and the rest of your weekend, whatever you're up to. I'm going to be filming my fabric haul. I think I've said that about 4 times now. I will be filming the Coatigan pattern review as well. And yeah, there's probably lots more things coming up once I get my head back into gear and get planning for what I want to do. So yeah, love to you all, and I hope you're all well, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care, bye!